Christmas is usually the season of cozy fireplaces, warm lights, and good memories, but scattered around the world are objects connected to the holiday that carry a completely different reputation. These are things so unsettling that museums have locked them away, churches have sealed them in vaults, and families have refused to ever touch them again. These are the top 10 cursed Christmas artifacts stored away for safety. In 1915, a mass-printed postcard circulated throughout parts of the United Kingdom and Belgium. It looked harmless. It showed a snowy cottage, a wreath, and the words, "A Joyous Christmas." It had been produced by a popular printer in London that was known for sentimental holiday cards. But shortly after it hit the market, newspapers began reporting a bizarre pattern. Households who received the card were sending letters to local authorities claiming sudden, unexplained illness. Researchers reviewing archived press clippings found more than 20 confirmed reports of severe misfortune linked to homes that received the postcard 58 series. The most chilling detail was that several recipients passed away within days of each other from similar symptoms, even though they lived in different towns. Investigators traced the entire printing batch and discovered that many of the remaining unsold cards had been returned due to customer discomfort. When the printer finally shut down production, they boxed up the last surviving cards and stored them. They have never allowed public viewing. Nobody ever proved a supernatural cause, but the pattern was real, documented, and disturbing enough that the artifact is still locked away more than a century later. Ira Davenport was one of the most discussed spiritualists in the late 1800s. His family was famous for seances, and whether you believe they had supernatural abilities or simply mastered illusions, the objects connected to them were often treated as dangerous. One of the most infamous was the Christmas-themed portrait Ira painted in 1885 for a seasonal seance performance. It depicted a girl in a simple winter dress holding a candle. The painting was hung on a wall during a December demonstration in New York. According to eyewitness accounts written in the Brooklyn Eagle, the portrait appeared to slowly turn on its hook during the session. Several sitters insisted the girl's eyes seemed to change direction from one moment to the next. After the Davenports stopped touring, the artifact was passed to a small historical society in New York. Staff eventually placed it deep into storage after reporting that the portrait would be crooked every morning despite being straightened the night before. The Hinsdale house in New York is one of the state's most investigated paranormal locations. It is known for multiple documented cases of unexplained noises, strange shadows, and an unnerving atmosphere that never seems to lift. But one of the creepiest real objects found inside the home is the small porcelain Christmas doll that investigators believe triggered yearly activity. The doll was discovered in an upstairs room during a December cleanup in the 1970s. It was dressed in a tiny green holiday outfit, and nobody knew how long it had been in the house. The family who lived there reported that after the doll was removed from the shelf, they began hearing footsteps that started every year around mid-December. Tapping sounds were recorded from inside the closet the doll had once sat near. One investigator captured audio of a child's voice whispering the word cold. Multiple paranormal teams have documented unexplained spikes in electromagnetic readings near the doll, especially during the Christmas season. After a visitor reported being scratched while standing near it, the current caretakers decided it would be safer if the doll was in a protective cabinet inside the home. It still sits there today, and no one has taken it out since. In 1941, Swedish archaeologists were excavating an old settlement outside the village of Sigtuna. They discovered what looked like a carved tree root beneath a mound near an ancient Norse burial. The artifact resembled a twisted figure with a face and hands, and locals said it looked like a jewel block, an early pagan object used during winter rituals. The dig team placed the root into a temporary storage tent, and the next afternoon, the lead excavator suffered a sudden and unexplained collapse while cataloging other finds. He died later in the hospital with no clear cause. That same week, 2 assistants were injured when a shelving unit fell in the tent where the root was stored. The museum in Stockholm took possession of the artifact, but refused to display it. To this day, the carved tree root remains in the Swedish History Museum archives. Museum staff reported violent hallucinations after moving the mask into storage. Krampus masks are a long-standing tradition in Austria, Germany, and the Alpine regions. They are worn during December parades to represent the darker side of the holiday season. Most are harmless cultural items, but one particular mask carved in the Black Forest during the late 1800s gained a frightening reputation when a small museum in Austria attempted to display it. According to the museum's logs, 3 staff members reported intense feelings of dread while unpacking the mask. One employee claimed he saw the jaw move even though it was carved from a single piece of wood. Another said he experienced a vivid hallucination that something was crouching behind her while she held the mask. When the object was moved into a basement storage room, 2 unrelated employees fainted while entering the room within days of each other. After the incidents, the museum locked the mask in a protective crate and refused to exhibit it. Homes reported fires starting within hours of placing the angel on their trees. In 1952, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission documented a bizarre pattern of Christmas tree fires involving one specific brand of angel topper sold in department stores across the Midwest. The angel was made from a wire frame wrapped in foil and cotton, a common material at the time, but something about this particular batch became dangerous. Over a period of 2 weeks, fire departments in 4 states reported nearly identical cases. A family would place the angel on the tree, turn on the lights, and within a very short time, the tree would ignite. Investigators initially believed faulty wiring was to blame, but when the same incidents occurred on trees without lights, attention shifted to the angel itself. When the remaining toppers were collected and tested, they were found to be coated with an unusually flammable lacquer. Stores pulled them from shelves, and the commission placed the unsold units into secure storage for product liability review. The remaining angels are still archived as part of a federal case file. They are not allowed to be handled without protective gloves. In 1933, an estate sale in London included a Victorian-era Christmas caroling book from the late 1800s. It was a simple, leather-bound book containing handwritten lyrics and musical notes, but after its sale, the buyer suffered a freak accident within a month. The book went back to auction, and the next owner lost his business shortly afterward. The pattern continued so consistently that newspapers began referring to the item as the unlucky book. By the time it reached the hands of the British Library for preservation, the staff had compiled a list of all known owners. Every single one experienced a significant documented hardship shortly after acquiring the book. There was no obvious explanation, there were no toxic materials and no hidden mechanisms. It was simply an old book filled with traditional holiday songs. In 1967, a New York woman purchased a second-hand box of Christmas ornaments from a local thrift store. One ornament stood out. It was a heavy glass sphere etched with what looked like abstract Hebrew lettering. She hung it near the center of her tree. Later that week, she reported hearing faint whispering whenever she passed by it. She assumed it was her imagination, but things quickly escalated. She experienced sudden, unexplained nausea and cold spots forming around the tree. A visiting relative said he heard a man's voice saying something in a language he could not identify. When a visiting rabbi examined the ornament, he suggested it resembled objects associated with Jewish folk beliefs involving trapped spirits. The woman eventually removed the ornament and stored it in a closet. Behind a wooden panel, they found what is known as a witch bottle, a real form of European folk magic dating back centuries. Witch bottles were created to ward off or redirect curses. They usually contain nails, hair, and some bodily fluids. The bottle found inside the Christmas wall display contained all 3. It also contained what appeared to be a piece of fabric with holiday stitching. Historians concluded someone in the home more than a century earlier believed a curse had been placed on the family during the winter season and tried to protect themselves using the bottle. The museum that now holds the artifact keeps it sealed in storage because of its historical significance and the contamination risk associated with the organic materials inside. The bottle has never been opened. In 1998, a Minnesota shopping mall rented a Santa Claus costume for the holiday photo area. The first man to wear the suit slipped on the freshly waxed floor and fractured his arm. The replacement Santa arrived the next morning and sprained his ankle stepping off a small stage. The third Santa developed an aggressive rash that appeared only on the parts of his skin that touched the suit. The mall management assumed the costume was contaminated or damaged, but after inspections found nothing dangerous, the pattern became harder to ignore. When the fourth Santa quit after claiming he had vivid nightmares every night he wore the suit, the mall quietly retired the costume. It was placed into storage with a note simply reading, "Do not reuse." Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlovsky, and I will see you again soon. Bye!